Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese erste Stunde über die Zeitformen, the first tenses lesson, ist unregelmäßige Verben im Präsens, irregular verbs in the present tense. Bevor wir anfangen, please remember to like this video, bitte klickt Gefällt mir, and to subscribe to my channel so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who have already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank. In order to fully understand this lesson, it's important that you understand what a subject and a verb are. A verb is a doing word, an action. For example, run, jump, fly, swim, be, have, etc. Verbs can come in a number of different tenses. For example, I run, I ran, I will run. A subject is the person or thing who is doing the action. In order to understand the following explanation of irregular verbs, it's important that you understand how regular verbs work in German. You can get a recap of how these work by clicking here now. In this video, we will look at irregular verbs in the present tense, as this is where the most noticeable differences take place. Other tenses, such as perfect and imperfect, will be discussed in specific videos later, so keep an eye out for these. When looking at a regular verb, such as spielen, to play, we have a pattern of conjugation, which is made up by the stem of the verb, in this case spiel, with the addition of one of the S1010 endings, depending on the subject used. The conjugation of spielen looks like this. Ich spiele, meaning I play or I am playing. Du spielst, you play, for informal singular you. Sie, es, man spielt. He, she, it or one plays. Wir spielen, we play. Ihr spielt, you play, for informal plural you. Sie spielen, with a capital S, meaning you play, for formal you. And sie spielen with a lowercase s, meaning they play. Irregular verbs, for the most part, work in the same way. The conjugations for ich, wir, ihr, sie, and sie will be identical. Let me demonstrate with the verb sehen, to see or to watch. For the pronouns mentioned, we add the stem of sehen, which is seh, and add the relevant S1010 ending. Ich sehe, wir sehen, ihr seht, sie sehen, sie sehen. The difference with irregular verbs in the present tense comes in the du, sie, es, and man forms, or what is called the second and third person singular forms. For these pronouns, the verb will have a change in the stem, meaning, in this case, seh is no longer the stem we need. In this case, the stem changes from seh to sie. After this, we add endings as normal. Du siehst, sie, es, man sieht. By its very nature, an irregular verb doesn't tend to have much of a pattern, but that doesn't mean you can't play the odds and make a guess. There are three stem changes which are very common. These are the letter E changing to an IE, as is the case with sehen. For example, ich sehe, du siehst. The letter E changing to an I, as is the case with the verb essen, to eat. For example, ich esse, du isst. Sie, es, man isst. Wir essen, ihr esst, sie essen, sie essen. And the letter A changing to an A umlaut, as happens with the verb schlafen, to sleep. Ich schlafe, du schläfst. Sie, es, man schläft. Wir schlafen, ihr schlaft, sie schlafen, sie schlafen. Keep these three common stem changes in mind and you should cover most bases. Unfortunately, there are not many ways of simply knowing that a verb is irregular, other than learning that it is. For that reason, I'll now give you a list of some of the common irregular verbs in German. We can also call these verbs strong verbs. E to IE. Sehen, to see or to watch. Ich sehe fern, I watch TV. sieht fern. He watches TV. Lesen, to read. Ich lese Bücher. I read books. Meine Schwester liest Bücher. My sister reads books. I to I. Sprechen, to speak. Ich spreche Spanisch. I speak Spanish. Sprichst du Deutsch? Do you speak German? Helfen, to help. Ich helfe Leuten. I help people. Hilft Leuten. He helps people. Notice that the word Leute, meaning people, now has an N on the end because helfen is used with the dative case. Geben, to give. Ich gebe ein Geschenk. I am giving a present. Es gibt, it gives. I've included es gibt here on purpose because, although it means it gives, it's also the phrase German speakers use to say there is or there are, and when doing so is followed by the accusative case. Click the banner at the top of the video now to learn more about the accusative case. Vergessen, to forget. Ich vergesse nichts. I forget nothing, or I don't forget anything. Mein Bruder vergisst alles. My brother forgets everything. Nehmen, to take. This is a slightly different change, as the letter combination IH doesn't happen very often in German. As a result, the stem change here is from nehm to nimm. For example, ich nehme Tabletten. I take tablets. Nimmt Tabletten. He takes tablets. A to A umlaut. Fahren, to drive or to go by transport. Ich fahre mein Auto. I drive my car. Fährt sein Auto. He drives his car. Laufen, to run. Ich laufe schnell. I run quickly. Usain Bolt läuft schneller. Usain Bolt runs more quickly. Tragen, to wear or to carry. Ich trage ein T-Shirt. I am wearing a T-shirt. Sie trägt eine Hose. She is wearing trousers. Waschen, to wash. Ich wasche das Auto. I wash the car. Mein Freund wäscht das Auto nicht. My male friend doesn't wash the car. Gefallen, to please. This verb is used in two set phrases, meaning I like it. The literal translation is it pleases me. For example, dieses Buch gefällt mir. This book pleases me, or I like this book. Diese Bücher gefallen mir. These books please me, or I like these books. In this case, the book or the books are doing the pleasing, which is why the verb changes. Finally, a very important irregular verb, which almost falls into the E to I category, is werden, meaning to become. It conjugates like this. Ich werde, du wirst, sie, es, man wird. Notice here that the ending is a D and not a T as we would expect. You can think of it as being a little bit weird. Wir werden, ihr werdet. As mentioned before, if the stem of a verb ends in a D or a T and you need to add a T for the verb ending, you include an E to make the verb more pronounceable. In this case, without the E, you would have to say ihr werdet, which is much more difficult than werdet. And the conjugation finishes with Sie werden and Sie werden. The reason this verb is so important is that it's also the way of saying will or going to when forming the future tense. For example, I will play football. The future tense will be discussed in a later video, but if you can learn the conjugation of werden at this point, you'll find the future tense extremely easy. So that's how irregular verbs or strong verbs work in the present tense. It's a good idea to pause the video now to remind yourself of the fact that irregular verbs or strong verbs have a stem change in the second and third person singular forms when in the present tense, and that the three common stem changes are E to IE, E to I, and A to A umlaut, as well as how the verb werden conjugates. Habe ich etwas vergessen? If you're a native German speaker and think I've forgotten something important about irregular verbs or strong verbs in the present tense in German, please write a comment below. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Also, please remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can also follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson and on Twitter under @HerrFerguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.